What if the most dangerous lie isn't the one you tell to other people, but the one you tell yourself? Today, we're going to dive into this really chilling but brilliant idea from a literary giant. It's a psychological paradox that explains something that sounds impossible: how someone can lie with absolute, total sincerity.
And here it is from the Nobel laureate André Gide himself. The true hypocrite is the one who ceases to perceive his deception, the one who lies with sincerity. I mean, just think about that for a second. At first glance, it makes zero sense, right? How can you possibly lie and be sincere about it? Well, this little paradox, it points us straight into one of the most unsettling corners of the human mind, our incredible and kind of scary capacity for self-deception.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How is this even possible? How can these two things, deception and sincerity, live inside the same person at the same time? To really get it, we've got to go back to where this whole idea started. Okay, so our journey starts with the author, André Gide, and his masterpiece from 1925, The Counterfeiters. And you have to understand, this novel isn't just some story, it's more like an intellectual playground where Gide first laid out this fascinating psychological puzzle for us.
You know, you really can't understand Gide's work unless you understand his life. This was a man who was basically caught in a constant struggle. On one side, you've got the super strict moralistic world he grew up in, and on the other, his own nature and this deep, deep desire for personal freedom. This lifelong conflict made him absolutely obsessed with authenticity, with the idea of living without a mask. So, I mean, who better to explore the deepest, darkest forms of hypocrisy, right?
So, in the novel, the plot kind of revolves around this group of teenagers passing fake gold coins around Paris. But Gide uses this as this incredible metaphor. See, the fake coins aren't really just about money. They represent everything in life that can be a counterfeit. You know, fake emotions, fake relationships, a fake sense of morality. The whole thing is about this tension between what's real and what just looks real.
And then, Gide takes it a step further. He gets even more complex. He uses this literary technique called mise en abîme, which is basically a fancy way of saying a story within a story. The main character in the book is a writer who is writing the very book that we're reading. So why would he do that? It's brilliant, actually. Gide is constantly reminding us that reality itself can be a construction. By showing us all the fake layers in his novel, he's basically forcing us to question the real layers of our own lives and our own motivation.
Okay, so with that idea of a constructed reality in our minds, let's get back to the core paradox. How exactly does someone lie with sincerity? Well, Gide makes a really crucial distinction here.
Gide draws this really sharp line between two kinds of deception. On one side, you've got your regular, everyday liar. They know the truth, they know they're lying, and there's this gap between what's real and what they're saying. And because of that gap, they might feel some guilt, some anxiety. But the true hypocrite, oh, they are a whole different ballgame. They've somehow managed to close that gap completely. They've convinced themselves that their lie is the truth, so there's no guilt. In fact, they often feel totally, completely righteous.
And that is what makes this kind of person so incredibly dangerous and so convincing. Because they genuinely believe their own story, they don't give off any of the normal tells of lying. Their body language, their tone of voice, everything about them just screams honesty. This is the mechanism behind some of the most destructive, charismatic leaders, cults, heck, even people in our own personal lives. As Gide figured out, the most effective manipulator is the one who doesn't even know they're manipulating.
But how does this even happen? I mean, how does a person's mind twist itself into this shape? Gide describing a psychological process that, today, we actually have a scientific name for. It's the process by which the mask someone wears eventually, literally, becomes their face. Modern psychology calls it cognitive dissonance, and it's that really uncomfortable, painful feeling we get when our actions conflict with our beliefs. So, for example, if you believe I am an honest person, but your action is I just told a lie, that creates this massive internal conflict. And the human mind absolutely hates that feeling. It will do almost anything to make it go away.
And here's how the mind does it. First, you've got the pain of that conflict, that dissonance. To escape it, the mind basically has two choices: change the action, which would mean admitting you lied, or change the belief. And guess what? Changing the belief is often way easier. So the mind starts to rewrite reality. It creates justifications, it alters memories, it reframes the whole situation until the lie starts to feel like the truth. And eventually, the process is complete. The mask has become the face. The person is now lying with absolute, 100% genuine sincerity.
And so, Gide's novel, written a century ago,
leaves us with this challenge that feels more relevant right now than ever before. This isn't just about learning how to spot hypocrisy in other people. It's really an invitation to look inward. In a world where we talk a lot about my truth, Gide forces us to ask a really tough question. Where do we draw the line? Where does my truth stop and a sincere lie begin? And what happens when we can't even see that line anymore?